Welcome to our deep dive. Today, we're looking at something really specific and timely. The weather in Azerbaijan for July 6th to 8th, 2025. We've sifted through the official reports, National Hydrometeorology, Ministry of Emergency Situations. And our goal today is to kind of pull out what this really means, maybe find some connections that aren't immediately obvious.
Yeah, and what's interesting here is how different pieces of information, wind, temperature, even bits about rain, they link up.
Okay.
They form a bigger picture of potential risk. So we'll focus on those main concerns and the practical advice.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The absolute headliner, the big one, is this strong wind warning. It's for July 6th.
Saturday, yeah.
And for Baku and the Absheron Peninsula, that's the main city area. And the coast around it, the warnings are serious. Northwest winds picking up to, let me check the numbers, 20.8 to 28.4 meters per second.
Which is, what, about 47 to 64 miles per hour?
Exactly. That's significant.
Yeah.
We're talking conditions where, just walking around could be difficult, never mind loose objects.
And that raises a key question. Baku gets the focus, sure, but what about elsewhere?
Good point.
The earlier alerts did suggest these strong winds might not just be a Baku thing, they could hit other regions too.
So, potentially a broader impact than just the capital.
Potentially, yes. It suggests we need to think beyond just Baku. Does this wind stand alone, or are there other factors?
Well, speaking of other factors, let's talk temperature. Because this wind isn't happening in isolation, is it?
No, definitely not.
For Baku, there's a warming trend. Starts around plus 27 Celsius on the 6th, the windy day.
Okay.
Then up to plus 31 Celsius on the 7th and 8th. But, and this is crucial, the sources explicitly say there is no formal above normal temperature warning for these specific dates.
Right. And that's easy to overlook. You see no warning and think, okay, no problem there.
Yeah, exactly.
But even without that official heat warning, you combine rising temperatures, even just moderately warm ones, with those strong winds. You get a much higher risk, especially for fire. Think about it. The wind dries things out. It fans flames.
Yeah.
It creates this kind of critical window where a small spark could spread incredibly fast, even if the wind drops a bit after Saturday.
Okay, so the combination is the danger point there. Wind plus rising heat equals higher fire risk.
Precisely. It's about how these conditions interact to sort of amplify the potential danger.
Got it. Now, you'd think strong winds might mean clear skies, but there's another layer here. The forecast also mentions rain.
Yeah, intermittent rain and even some lightning. It's been around earlier in the week and looks set to continue across various regions through our period, July 6th to 8th.
Not necessarily heavy, widespread rain, then.
Not a specific heavy rain warning for the 6th to 8th, no. But particularly in mountainous areas, the greater and lesser Caucasus ranges,
Okay.
they could see short, sharp downpours, maybe even some hail.
And what does that mean practically?
Well, it means you could get, localized hydrological impacts, flash flooding, basically. River levels rising quickly in some of those mountain rivers.
So even without a big rain warning, there's still a localized flood risk in certain spots, particularly if you're in or near those mountain regions.
Exactly. Something to be aware of, definitely.
Okay, so we've got strong winds, rising temperatures boosting fire risk, and potential for localized flash floods. What does this all mean for you, the listener, whether you live there or are visiting?
Well, the Ministry of Emergency Situations is pretty clear. First thing, vigilance. Keep checking the official sources.
Like meteo.az and fhn.gov.az.
Yep, exactly. Get the latest updates. That's your first line of defense, just being informed.
And specifically for the winds on Saturday the 6th.
The advice is very practical. Stay away from anything that could fall or be blown over. Light structures, temporary buildings, billboards, trees, power lines. Indoors, make sure windows and doors are shut securely, and bring in anything loose from outside garden, furniture, bins, anything that could become, a missile.
Right. And the fire safety, you mentioned that risk.
Absolutely critical with this wind and heat combo. Strict adherence. That means basically no open flames anywhere near flammable stuff like grain fields or hay.
No smoke in there either, obviously.
Dispose of anything flammable properly. Don't leave any fires unattended, ever. And starting fires on windy days. Strongly advised against. Open fires in woods are generally banned anyway.
Sounds like common sense, but
it's easy to get complacent. And with winds like those predicted, a small mistake, a tiny spark, could genuinely escalate very, very quickly. Vigilance isn't just advice, it's crucial.
Okay, good points. And if something does go wrong, what are the numbers to call?
Right. The emergency hotlines across Azerbaijan, 102 for police, 103 for medical help, 101 for firefighters.
And there's a general one, too.
Yes, 112 is the general emergency hotline. Keep those handy.
Okay, so wrapping this up for July 6th to 8th, 2025. The main event is definitely that strong wind on Saturday the 6th, especially around Baku. But even without official heat or heavy rain warnings for those exact dates, we've got these other risks bubbling under. The rising temperatures interacting with the wind for fire danger.
Yeah.
And that ongoing chance of localized rain causing issues in mountain rivers.
It really highlights something important to think about, doesn't it? How these different weather elements, which might seem separate.
The wind, the heat, the rain.
Yeah, how they don't just add up, but they can sort of multiply each other's effects, creating these more complex, compounded risks.
That's a great point. So maybe the question for you to consider is, how do you personally track not just the headline warnings, but these interactions between different conditions to stay truly prepared?
Understanding those interdependencies really is key to resilience, isn't it? Food for thought.